Well, certainly this has been an increased area for investigation and prosecution as we've moved from looking at prostitution and widening this to looking at it as a predatory practice in human trafficking. This was obviously a federal state sting that lasted for a long period of time. Obviously, the most serious charges will be against the organizers of this, those who make money off it, but there's been an increased effort to go after the demand side of this predatory business, and that means individuals who solicit sex, and it sounds like with pretty strong evidence in this case.
If you would tell us about the severity of the charges. We understand these are misdemeanor charges down in Florida, but since Robert Kraft is out of state, they are issuing arrest warrants in this.
Yes, and that's a mechanism. He most likely could surrender, could have his lawyer surrender. So I think that the number of people involved and the number of charges indicated it is a misdemeanor. It will be treated as such in the courts, but I'm sure they are making sure that they will have process to get everybody before the jurisdiction in Florida, and that's one reason they would seek an arrest warrant.
Charge, what does that mean in terms of a punishment if convicted?
For a misdemeanor offense where there's no prior record, it wouldn't necessarily mean jail time. Could mean a fine, but again, we've got a fairly serious charge, although a misdemeanor, with pretty clear evidence. And so some of the focus on a case like this would be negotiating what would be the outcome of it. What kind of sentence would they be looking for?
So what happens next in the timeline in all of this? We understand that an arrest warrant has been issued. Do you expect Robert Kraft to have to go down to Florida to face these charges?
Well, as we've seen recently with out-of-state defendants, sometimes the appearance can be waived. It depends on local practice and what the prosecutors and the judge agree to. He does have to be arraigned, and remember, these are charges only. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but he would have to be arraigned, and then the case would take on the normal process of any criminal case. Discovery, defense would get to see what the evidence is like. He has the opportunity to face the charges or to plead to them, but this is the first step, announcing that there are arrest warrants, and then he will be brought before the court to plead, presumably not guilty.
And we should say that a spokesperson for Mr. Kraft has released a statement saying, "We categorically deny that Mr. Kraft engaged in any illegal activity. Because it is a judicial matter, we will not be commenting further." Police, though, saying they do have videotape, Martha. So, how long can this statement stand?
Well, certainly at this stage where he's not been arrested, he's not actually been charged or arraigned, you would expect, and it's his right, as it is for any defendants, to claim not guilty. He will most likely come into court and plead not guilty. That is what the Constitution allows, and that is what our criminal justice system allows. What will happen after that, though, is the exchange of the discovery. What is the evidence? How strong is it? And that's where some of that will take course, in the courts, and some of that will not be in the public eye. But eventually, if it's a trial or a plea or some resolution of this, that would be a public matter.
This was obviously a very big sting operation. The information we've been getting from Florida, our reporters there, is that this was 8 months in the making. This involved several different law enforcement agencies, and we do have arrests of other people involved, namely what they're deeming to be the accused human traffickers. So can you talk to us about the charges that those people face in this case? These are very serious crimes.
I would think so, particularly when you see the agencies involved: federal law enforcement, criminal justice, IRS, as well as local authorities. And I'm guessing that the focus of this was the ringleaders, the business end of things. That predatory business that we now know takes advantage of basically human trafficking. But in the course of this, of course, they can't ignore the demand side of the business, that these businesses succeed because there is a market for that. And increasingly, authorities at the local and state level and federal level have gone after that demand side, the people who are buying services and those who are human trafficked.
And you mentioned that this type of crime is getting more attention. There is a crackdown, is it nationwide, on trying to stop this practice?
Yes, and I think particularly in the last 10 years or so, at every level of enforcement, the focus has been on the victims of human trafficking, those sex workers, others who are brought from overseas or are domestic sex workers who frankly don't have a lot of choice in this, who are now seen as victims of this crime. And so the focus is on, again, the ring, the organizers, those people who traffic in humans for labor or sex, or sometimes both, in this instance perhaps, labor and sex. But the focus has also been increasingly on the demand side, to say that this is illegal, and we are going to prosecute those people who are providing a market, frankly, for this illegal business.